Hi everyone, this is Carol Keller, Independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how to solve a problem. I had a little problem with a couple of cards that I wanted to make, and I had to figure out a solution, and I'll tell you about it in just a minute. And I'm going to turn my camera over to my work table. I will tell you about my problem and how I solved it, and we'll make some cards today. So here was my problem. I had two friends. One just became a grandmother, so her daughter had a baby. I needed a card for a baby girl. And another friend just told me that she's pregnant. And my problem was I don't have any cards ready to go for those occasions, for those events. So then I had another problem because when I looked through my stamp sets, I really didn't have one that lends itself to baby cards or congratulations baby cards. There are several in the catalog, and they're adorable. Dino Days says, "Look who's hatched." So good for someone who just had a baby. This one, Wildly Happy, says, "Sweetest baby," and little one, "So tiny, so small, so loved by all, wildly happy for you." Perfect for these occasions. And even moving along says, "Welcome baby." But again, I didn't have any of those. So I thought, okay, how am I going to solve this problem? So I realized I had stamp sets with sentiments that would be appropriate. So I grabbed those first. So I've got Well Said, I knew would have something that I wanted, and it does because there's a welcome baby in here that you could put together, which is what I did. So I knew that was a good one. And then I found Peaceful Moments because it's got the congratulations and I like the font. And then Many Mates would work also because there's a congrats, and I liked this, So Happy for You, and also Slightly Jealous to give to the new grandma. So I could find some sentiments, and that was great. But then what I needed was, okay, what do I want to do? I need more than sentiments, just sentiments. So I decided to think about what paper I have, what pattern paper. And the first one I thought about was Plaid Tidings, because I had actually just used it recently and was talking about the fact that it's more than just for Christmas because there are lots of different colors in the pattern. So for example, if I took that, that would be great for a boy card, a Welcome to the World little boy card. And there are several that I thought would be great for a little girl. There's actually another one in here. Pinky, purpley kinds of colors that would lend themselves. So I was going to use that. And then for my friend who is pregnant and I don't know what she's having, I don't think she knows yet, some more neutral ones that you could use, you know, the greens and yellows that we usually use if we don't know the sex of the baby. But then I came on an idea that I thought was even better, and that was to use the Playing with Patterns Designer Series paper because it's got I think an even wider range of colors. So I'm going to show you some of the papers that are in that set. Just kind of lay them all out for you. Whoops, and some of them I used so you won't see the full sheets because I've used them. There's another one. But just lots and lots of different colors and designs, different patterns obviously, hence the name, that you could use for all occasions. And I thought, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to use to make those cards. Here are the rest of them. Lots and lots and lots of choices. There are 24 different patterns in this pack of 48. So you get 4 each of the designs because they're double-sided. So again, lots and lots of choices, and I thought, all right, that's what I'm going to use as my basis for the cards, is the stamp sets that I talked about and this pattern paper. So I will show you my samples. So I wanted a card that was more neutral for congratulations, so that's the one I'm going to give to my friend who just told me that she's pregnant. And then I decided I would design a girl and a boy baby card because I want to have some on hand now so that when anything like this comes up again, I'll be ready and have the cards ready to go, because who doesn't like that best, right? So these are the cards that I made for today. And I think we'll start off with, we'll do the Welcome Baby Girl card. but it's all exactly the same design, just using different papers from the pack. So I'm going to leave that here. Okay, I had some technical difficulties, but we're going to restart. Let's continue. All right, I have pre-cut the pattern papers that we need for this card, but I'm going to give you the dimensions. The longer strip is 2 inches by 5.5, and the smaller one is 2.5 by 4.5. And I actually ran out of this paper because I've made so many of these cards since I started this video. So I'm using a different one, but it coordinates as well, and I think it's going to work very well for this. The stamp set that I used is Pattern Play, and one of them that I used it for the little hearts there. So we're going to get started with that one. And I love the Pattern Play because actually, if you haven't figured out already, it coordinates with the paper. It's all part of the same suite. The papers, the stamp set, and again, we're going to use the hearts today, and the ribbons, which I will show you a little later. So let's get started with our stamping. And I use some other sets as well, and I'll talk to them as we get to them. But we're going to start with our hearts from the Pattern Play stamp set and some Blushing Bride ink. So I'm going to move those aside for now. We're going to do our stamping first, like I said. All right, and I've already got my A2 size card folded, and I burnished it with my bone folder. And I'm doing the baby card because on this one I did a lot of stamping off. So if you're not familiar with what that is, I will show you. Stamping off just means that before you stamp it on your project, you stamp on a piece of scrap paper. So that's what we're going to do. And the reason is that I wanted a lighter color to go with the pink in here. The full Blushing Bride is this color, and it's a little darker. So we are going to use actually some of each. For the middle one, I am going to do it full strength, as we call it, because I like that look. But for the rest, I'm going to stamp off. So we stamp there, and then stamp in the lower corner, stamp off, stamp in the other lower corner, and that's all we have for the front. But we're going to do one inside. Always have to have stamping on the inside to finish it off. So we'll do one on the inside, and then I'm also going to pull the envelope in because I really feel strongly that it's important to decorate that as well, because again, it gives that professional look. So we're doing one in the lower corner on the front, and then one in the back. And that's it. That's our hearts. Those are all the ones that we need. So I'm going to pull that envelope out of the way. And then for the inside, we'll do that next. This beautiful sentiment from Peaceful Moments. These are the moments we'll look back on with joy. And the same thing, I'm going to ink it, but I'm going to stamp off and then stamp in here. So it's still easy to read, but it's just that lighter shade that coordinates with everything else. So now the inside is done. And then for the last of our stamping, we're going to stamp on the tag. Oops, that's right, I forgot to stamp the hearts on the tag. That's our last stamping with the hearts. So again, stamping off. And this is just a scrap. You can see, if you can see, there's something on the back. And it's 1 inch wide. And it's maybe 5 or 6 inches long, something like that. But it's just a scrap. So I've stamped the hearts. And then I took the Welcome Baby from the Well Said stamp set. It's got lots and lots of words and sentiments that you can use for a variety of cards. So I love this one. It's very versatile. And all I did was just place them, because the words are separate, just place them up against each other. And then I'm going to turn this. It looks like it might be a little crooked. But what I'm going to do is, because I have to stamp off anyway, I'm going to see if it's straight. And I would say that welcome, we want to move down just a smidge. Try that again. Now it's too far, of course. Hopefully this is just right. Yes, that's much better. Love it. Okay. And that's all the stamping that we need to do. I'm going to close up my ink pad. This is a pretty quick and easy card to come together. So we will start to put it together. So I'm going to put the pattern paper on, and I like to, when I have pattern paper that goes edge to edge like this one does, I like to use my liquid glue, my multi-purpose liquid glue, because as you've heard me say many, many times, it's a little more forgiving because it takes a little bit to dry and to set up. So you can move it around where you need it to. And that is a good thing. So I'm just laying it up against the edge and adjusting it till it's exactly where I want it. Press it. And it's pretty quick. You don't have too long to play with it, but you do have a little bit of time, and I like that. For our other piece, I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal. Ooh, we could even use that side, but no, I think I'm going to go with the stripes. And the Stampin' Seal I like because it's quick and easy, very strong. I love my Stampin' Seal. Looks like there's a hair in there. There we go. All right, and then make sure this is why you do the stamping first. For the very first card I made, I added the pattern paper, and then I felt like it needed something at the bottom, and there wasn't quite enough room for the hearts, so that's why it's better to stamp first. And we're just going to eyeball and center it and overlap it with the first piece we put down. And all we need is to finish our tag. Now for this, I used our detailed trio punch, and I actually ended up using all three parts of it, which I wasn't planning to begin with. I liked this detailed design, and that's what I wanted to use for the tag, but I'll show you I ended up using all three parts. So what we need to do, we need to grab our scissors, and we're going to cut it a little bit. So you're going to want to leave about an inch or so, and we'll cut the rest off. And then because we need to make a corner to fit it in the punch, I'm just cutting at a 90-degree angle both ways, just like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be close so that we can fit it into the punch. And I'll show you, put my scissors down and show you how we're going to do that. So we just fit it straight back, and you'll see into the corner. So straight back, and it kind of locks in there so you know it's where you want it. Oops. And there we go. Now we've got a little design that we can use to make it a little fancier, give it a little more interest. But then what I did is I took a strip of the Blushing Bride, and this is 1 1/4 inches wide, so that we can layer. But before I did that, I rounded the corners. So I used the corner rounder, and the same thing, you feed it by the edge there, straight back through until it stops, so you know it's at the corner. Then I'm going to do the same thing from this corner, feed it in this way. Perfect. And now I'm going to see, I probably have to cut this down a little bit because I want it to have an edge, about an equal edge all the way around. So I'm going to cut it at about here, and you can use your trimmer or your scissors. I'm just cutting off the excess a little bit. And then what I did was I rounded the third corner down here. So the same thing, feed it in. And then I used this one, move these out of the way, but I used the last side of the punch to make a hole to put the ribbon in. And it's the same thing, you're going to feed it. Actually, I want it about like this. This one works a little bit differently. Let's make sure I have it through there, through the back. It doesn't quite have the corner to grab the way the other ones do. So I'm going to make sure I can see it in the back. If I can see my cardstock there, then I know it's in far enough. And there we go. Perfect. So I can feed the ribbon through. So I'm using my Stampin' Seal again. Again, you can see I'm using a scrap, but no one will be the wiser when they receive the card. They will not be the wiser. And then just line it up. Beautiful. Okay, and for the ribbon, we used our Playing with Patterns, and I'm going to show you. This is the one that I used obviously for this card. It's got the purple posy, color on the edges and then white in the middle. So I'm just gonna cut a strip a few inches long. Make sure you cut it long enough because you're going to be feeding it through the hole, and one of them I was able to feed it through, but it was kind of short, and so that made it a little more challenging. So you want to make sure it's long enough. And all I did was fold it a little bit so I could get it through that hole and feed it from the front to the back. Pull the loop and then put the ends through. And you want to be careful when you pull it through because you don't want to tear the tag. That would be a no-no. And that's it. And now all we have to do is put it on the front of the card. For that I used my Stampin' Dimensionals. Make sure you put one in the middle so it doesn't get all saggy there. And then I lined it up so that the ribbon, you know, more towards the right end so that the ribbon shows too. And you can cut it down a little bit if you want, but I think that's okay. I'm going to leave it like that. And that's it. That's our card. And again, I'm going to bring in the other two just to show you the other ribbons for this one. And they all come from that same Playing with Patterns. This is the Coastal Cabana that I used for the congratulations card. And then for the Welcome Baby Boy card, I used the Night of Navy ribbon that comes, and they're all in that 3-pack. So it just worked really well that everything in the suite, because it coordinates, it made it easy. But that's our card for today. Thanks so much for watching and for being patient with my technical difficulties. Let me see your creations if you make them. So the most important thing to remember is that as long as you have some great sentiment stamps, you can create a card for any occasion, and it's just a matter of finding the right paper to adapt, and we have so many different styles that makes it very easy. So if you come across a problem like this in the future, you'll know how to solve it. Pull out those sentiment stamps and go through your pattern papers so you find something that works and your problem is solved. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Bye-bye.